Have you ever wondered what it takes to elevate your team's performance to the next level? As a leader, understanding the most powerful ways to motivate your team is crucial for achieving peak performance. In this video, I will share the top 3 motivational techniques that you can use to significantly skyrocket your team's performance. My name is Isaac Wambua. I'm the founder and CEO of Dynamo Methods. We help organizations and leaders to build high-performing teams, and it's a great job to have. We do it every single day, and I'm glad that we get to do this training with you today. So before we get to the 3 major techniques on how to motivate your employees, I would like to give you some background from a psychological perspective. And by the way, you don't have to be a psychologist. You just need to understand the basic human behavior. I don't have a psychology degree. I never went to school for it. But I've been around long enough, 40 plus years, dealing with human beings, including myself. So I have a very good understanding of how human beings behave, coming from an African culture, that's where I grew up, and then moving to the United States, what we call the Western culture. And having been in the workforce and in the business for a long time, I've had the opportunity to interact with people from different cultures, different ethnicities, different education levels, experience level, different genders, and affiliations. But at the very core of human behavior, there's some things that we pay attention to, whether it is you and I who are leaders or anybody else really. Number one, every person wants to feel like they are special. They are special to someone. They are special to an organization. They are special to an industry. They are special to the world. That's number one. The second thing, every single person wants to feel accepted. They want to feel like they belong. That's why we build tribes, and that's why we like being a part of groups, and we take pride in that. The third thing that we as humans tend to look for is the feeling of making a contribution to the world or in the space that you are in. We want to feel like we are not just warm bodies. We are not just existing. We are living. We are leaving a mark behind. We talk about legacy. If you're running a company or you're running a team and you're trying to build that team to be a high-performing team, you want, to an extent, and it could be very unconscious, you want to have your name appear in someone's story. Talking about the basic human needs, many years ago in college, I came across a theory, and it's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most of you might have come across it. It's the most common theory that's taught in colleges. And I believe right now, most likely they have other theories as well. But that time it was all about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow, who was a psychologist, proposed that motivation is the result of a person's attempt at fulfilling 5 basic needs. Okay, number 1 is physiological, number 2, safety, number 3, social, number 4, esteem, and number 5 is self-actualization. So when you think about the most basic need, which is the physiological, people want to have food, they want to have shelter, they want to have clothing, they want to be alive. Those are the most basic things that every single person needs to have. The second level is safety and belonging. And we are talking about health, employment, property, family, and the social ability, being able to connect with other people. Then you go to the third level, which is love and belonging. We are looking for friendship and family, intimacy, sense of connection. And you go to the fourth level, which is self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, the need to be a unique individual. And when you get to the topmost level, which is the self-actualization level, we are talking about morality, things like creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, and being able to exploit internal potential. So when you look at that hierarchy, which is usually more like a pyramid, for those who have come across that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you start with the most basic things that you need to survive, and you go all the way to the self-actualization. And when you get to the self-actualization, that's when people talk about my legacy. They want to talk about what I'm going to leave behind, what I'm going to be remembered for. So that's one of the theories. Now, there's another theory, a more recent one, that is very close to motivation and what people look for, and it's called self-determination theory. And it talks about the ability or process of making one's choices and controlling one's life. So we all want to feel like we are in control. We want to be in control of our decisions. We want to be in control of our lives. What time we wake up, the company we work for, the industry we pick, the friends we have, the family, who we get married to, who we associate with. When we feel like we are in control, then that makes us feel good. So the theory suggests that people can become self-determined when their needs for three things: competence, connection, and autonomy are fulfilled. That's when people can feel like they are fully self-determined. When their needs for competence, they can get the job done. They have the skills, they have the abilities to get something done. And that means when they do that, someone is going to notice they have done it. Potentially, they are going to be rewarded for it. They are going to be compensated if they have a job, or someone is going to say, good job. So competence is one of them. The next thing is connection. They want to connect with people in the same industry, people that are in the same tribe as they are, people that are close to them. So a sense of connection. And number three is the autonomy, to decide what time I wake up, what time I go to work, who do I work with. Now, sometimes we feel like we don't have control when you have a job and you got to go to work, or at least you are expected to go to work at a certain time, to report at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and stay until 4 or 5 p.m. And we go like, I got to do this. I have to do this. Honestly, you don't have to. Because even though you might feel powerless, you might feel like you're being made to do it, honestly, nobody's making you to do it. You can decide not to do it. You decided to work for that company, and you keep on showing up every single day, even though you are complaining and whining and griping about it, you keep on showing every single day. So to an extent, you made that decision and you have some level of autonomy. By all means, if you don't like working somewhere, I'm not saying you quit the job and you leave. If it doesn't make sense for you to quit, you need to stay. But again, if you're not enjoying it, you need to find a different career or a different job somewhere else. So that's the second theory. And the last theory I'm going to share with you is called the two-factor theory. The two-factor theory argues that there are separate sets of mutually exclusive factors in the workplace that either cause job satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Two sets of factors. And it's going to be either satisfaction or dissatisfaction. And the two factors are either motivators or demotivators. What really motivates people and what demotivates them. Generally, these factors encourage job satisfaction and relate to self-growth and self-actualization. So when you have what we call demotivators, they make you feel a certain way or make a decision. If you have a position or a role in a company where you do the same thing over and over again, and according to you is the same mundane stuff, and you don't enjoy doing that anymore, that can be a trigger or at least a motivator for you to either go back to school or acquire a new skill or ask to be mentored so you can move to a different role, maybe get a promotion or move laterally to a different role, at least the one that you like to do. So that can be a motivation. So let me walk you through some of the motivators that have been found to be effective when it comes to the employee motivation. Number one is achievement. And this is not just for the employees that work with you or the team members that you have, it's for every single person. I believe all of us have been wired to grow. We want to achieve something. You get a certification, or you get a new job, or you learn a new skill. Right now, I'm doing this training on a video. And earlier today, actually, I was doing a training for one of the groups that I mentor. And we were talking about how to create videos for your business. I run a business, so I was talking to fellow business owners. And we were talking about being able to create a 60-second video, a 2-minute video, 3-minute video, or a long video, which can be in form of a training like this one. And what we established is that recording videos and being in front of a camera is not a natural skill. Actually, it's not a natural thing for anyone. It's a skill that you have to develop. And I shared with them how I struggled with this. I am naturally a people person. I don't shy away from walking up to anyone and introducing myself and telling them who I am. But I remember the first time I had a camera put right in front of me, it was at a church event. And that was, I think 15 years ago. And one of our friends at church had a camera and it was going around asking people, hey, what do you think about the event? What's your perspective on this? Can you say a few words to the pastor and the leaders and people that have made it possible for us to be here? And people were giving opinions, and this guy just walked up to me And I knew he was doing it, but according to me, he snuck on me. He put the camera right in front of me and he asked me a question and I froze. I couldn't say anything. And I looked away and the guy said, "Hey, Isaac, don't be shy." And that kind of threw me off a little bit. Of course, I walked away and I felt awful. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm shy. Years later, I came to learn that being in front of a camera and being able to speak to a camera is a skill that you get to develop. So going back to having to experience achievement, every single person wants to achieve something, whether it's learning a new skill like me, learning how to be in front of a camera, or being able to speak in front of people, or mentoring people, or even doing an interview, being able to resolve conflicts. Those are things we really want to learn, and that can give us a sense of achievement. The second thing is recognition. People enjoy it when you recognize them for a job well done, or being a part of a team, or being a part of a project. Number three is the work itself. The work they do every single day, that can be a source of motivation, especially if they are in a lane of work that they are passionate about. Maybe it's always been their dream to be an IT person, or being an engineer, or being a doctor, or being a nurse, or being a financial advisor. It doesn't matter what it is. The work itself can give them fulfillment and can be a source of motivation, because every day they wake up, most likely they are saying to themselves, I get to do the thing that I was born to do. That can be a source of motivation for them. Number four is responsibility. When you give people a responsibility, now they have their regular tasks, they have their role that they were hired for, and they have the tasks they do every single day. But when you ask someone to be in charge of a team, or to run a meeting, or to step in for you, or to be a part of a project, which potentially is not necessarily what they do every single day, that level of responsibility can motivate people, because it sends a signal to them that, number one, you trust them as their leader, you trust them to be a part of that project or be able to do that task for you. And number two, it gives them a chance to learn a new skill or to sharpen the skill they already have. Number five is advancement. And in this case, advancement in terms of the ranks. Someone starts on an entry level, and then they learn the skills, then they learn the culture, and they're doing a good job. And then you give them a promotion to become a team lead, or a supervisor, or a manager, or a junior executive, or an executive, or a partner, and they keep on advancing. That can be a motivation as well. Now, there are people that every time they think about advancement, and that's for both leaders and also team members, every time they think about advancement, the first thing that comes to their minds is more pay or more compensation. And that could be part of it as well. But I don't think that's the most impactful thing in your career and in your life. When you think about advancement, it means someone is noticing your competencies. Someone is noticing your skills. Someone is noticing your capabilities, and they are rewarding you for it in terms of advancing you. Now, I'm assuming that when you advance people, especially when it comes with more responsibilities and the ability to make a bigger impact, revenue or otherwise, then they are going to be compensated accordingly. I'm a big advocate for that. But in my perspective, that's not what it is. Because when I'm advancing, it's feedback that I'm getting from outside. I'm getting that signal that, Isaac, you're doing well. So it's going to help me build my confidence. And that means when I go to my boss or anyone in the company and I say, I need a raise, or I need to be paid more, I can easily itemize all the things that I've done. So that's, again, a discussion for another day. And the last thing is growth. As human beings, we are all wired to grow. We want to go to the next level over and over and over again. So those are the motivators, and those are just based on the two-factor theory. Demotivators, also 6 of them. Number 1 is bureaucracy, and this can be from, believe it or not, company policies and supervision. If you have policies that are just dry policies, you tell people, this is our policy. You need to show up at 8 o'clock. You need to do this. You need to do that. You're using the words you need to, or you should, or you're required to. I respect that, and there's a place for that. But company policies don't motivate anyone. They are expected to be there anyway. You need to keep them to safeguard the integrity of the company, but that's not going to motivate anyone. So bureaucracy is one of the demotivators in most of the companies. Number 2 is relationships, especially if there happens to be some sticky or toxic relationships, some not very exciting relationship between you as a leader and your employees, or among employees, or people from one department and another. Whichever way, if there's no good relationship between people and among people, there's got to be a problem, and that can be a demotivator. Number 3 is work conditions. Depending on the industry that you are in, there are some work conditions that can be really tough. Next one is status. If you work in an environment where people value status more than the goals, then you are likely to experience some kind of competition within that environment, and that's not a good one for you or even for the company. The next one is salary. By all means, like I said, I advocate for people to be compensated fairly. And how fair is it? It all depends with your industry and your company, but I believe people should be compensated fairly. When it comes to salaries, again, very much tied to the status. If people believe that if I become a senior manager, a senior leader, I'm going to have this kind of status and I'm going to be paid this much, which I believe they should, there's likely to be a lot of competition in there. If there's someone who has been working for the company, let's say for 6 months, and someone else has been working with the company for 7 months, they might look at their salaries, and especially if they're different, they might say, why is that person getting paid more money while we are doing the same kind of work? It's possible also to have people that have been there for the same length of time, kind of holding the same position in the company, but they're getting paid differently. Sometimes it all depends on how you negotiated. And then you realize this person is getting paid more than I am. And all of a sudden you become a victim and say, why am I getting paid less? I need to be paid the same as that person. Now, again, it all depends with your company and how you see things. If you did not negotiate to be paid a certain amount of money based on how much you think you're worth, at least the work that you do is worth, or the value that you bring to the company, then you shouldn't blame the company for that. And I'm not talking about double standards. The right thing to do, my recommendation is, if you feel you need to be paid more, you can go to your boss or whoever makes decisions when it comes to paying people and say, I feel that my contribution to the company deserves to be rewarded more. If you approach it that way, that's an objective discussion that we can have. And the last thing is job security. You might be working for a very stable company today, and then tomorrow it gets a little bit shaky. Maybe the industry gets hit by the economy, or new technology comes in and your company gets wiped out, or the whole industry. So job security can either motivate people or demotivate them. It becomes a demotivator when the people look around and they feel like, oh, we are in IT, or I do data entry, or I do programming, or I'm a copywriter, like right now, and we have an influx of AI, and people can write their copy within 15 minutes, something that they used to pay someone $5,000 to do for them. So when you don't feel secure in your job, either based on the external factors or even within your company, that can be a demotivator. Let's get to the 3 strategies on how to motivate your employees. Now, these are not the only strategies, but I've found these to be simple, easy to apply if you're willing to stick with it, but they're also very powerful. So strategy number 1 on how to motivate your team to high performance is setting clear and challenging goals. The key word is clear. When people are clear about where they are going and what they are supposed to do on a daily basis, then it becomes easier for them to plan and also get focused and build momentum doing the thing they are supposed to do to move towards the goal. When the goal is not clear, it's stressful because they always have to come back to you as a leader to clarify. I'll tell you a story. Actually, it's a real story that happened today. I have an executive assistant that helps me do a lot of stuff in the office, and I have an intern who is working with me this summer, 2024. So I proposed they work together, and last night I decided to put together a daily task list, and this is for the things that they are supposed to do together in the morning, mid-morning, in the afternoon, all the way until the end of the day. And as I was going through that list, I found myself being a little bit vague. And I was like, okay, this is not clear. And I went through the list over and over and over again until it was clear. Now, according to me, it's clear. I'm waiting for them to give me feedback. So even for me, even though we teach on these things, that we need to set clear goals that are precise for people to understand, because when you communicate to them, they should be able to do those things without asking a lot of questions. Even for me, I was struggling because when it's clear in our minds, we tend to take a shortcut. We tend not to itemize and give all the details or include the details that need to go into that particular task or the project. So setting clear and challenging goals is going to be essential. So the first part is clear goals, and the second part is challenging goals. When the goal is challenging enough, that means you know they can do it, they have the capability to do it, and in this case I'm talking about your team members, but you want them to be pushed outside of their comfort zone just enough to be a little bit uncomfortable so that they can learn new things, so they can be more creative, so they can be more innovative, because you need that. Remember, we said one of the needs people have is the need to grow and the need to advance. So if they can grow, it means they are going to do a better job. It means they are going to feel good about themselves, because we are wired to grow. And most likely, if they are doing a good job, to be fair enough, they are likely to advance within your organization. And that means they are going to be paid more. So there needs to be clear and challenging goals. They need to be specific and measurable goals that can provide a sense of direction and purpose for them. Strategy number 2 for motivating your team to reach peak performance is providing regular feedback and recognition. There's another training we did, and if you haven't watched that, you can go to our YouTube channel and find it. And we talked about how to build a conducive environment for your employees to thrive. And one of the things we found was that recognition and feedback play a key role. So strategy number 2 on how to motivate your team to reach peak performance is to provide regular feedback and recognition. Strategy number 3 for motivating your team to achieve peak performance is providing a collaborative and supportive environment. I'm using the word providing on purpose. Providing, not just fostering. When you say, I want to foster an environment where people can collaborate and feel supported, there's a part of that that doesn't really sound right to me, because fostering is like you're just being a part of it. You're providing the resources, you're talking to your colleagues, and you're saying, let's do this. And that's good. It's more of a facilitation. But when you talk about providing a collaborative environment where people feel supported, you are giving. That means you and I, we are giving something. We are taking time. We are planning it. We are talking to our team members and say, I'm going to provide this. You can count on me. And don't get me wrong. I believe that in your company, most likely you have a great team of leaders and you get to work together. But if you are running a marketing department, someone else is running the sales department, someone else is running the customer service department, and all these other departments and sub-departments, each person is busy running these departments. So however much we want to feel and think that they are thinking about you and the initiatives that you have and what you are doing, and they are going to support you, honestly, they're not thinking about you. They are thinking about their initiatives. They're thinking about the problems they have to face. They're thinking about their team members and how to take them to the next level. So you, having your own team, if you really want to take your team to the next level and get them to achieve high performance, you have to take responsibility for that and provide that environment where they can collaborate with others and they can also feel supported. And by all means, if you want to ask for help, you can do that as well. Allow me to say this: encouraging teamwork and supportive leadership can significantly impact team motivation, leading to a more productive and cohesive group. Those are the 3 strategies you can use to motivate your team to achieve peak performance. Strategy number 1 is to set clear and challenging goals for the team to pursue. Strategy number 2 is to provide regular feedback and recognition. And number 3 is to provide a collaborative and supportive environment. Here's what I know. If you can get yourself to implement these strategies, you'll be able to create a high-performing team, so high-performing to an extent that they'll be able to consistently deliver exceptional results for themselves, which is good for the team, for you as a leader, for the company, and for the industry. Thank you for joining me for this training. I hope it was helpful. And as always, keep on enjoying your leadership journey as you make a difference in your team, in your company, and the world. I'll see you in the next training.